This is going to upset a lot of cruisers, and maybe even some cruise lines, because today we're talking about the one charge on your bill that sparks more arguments than drink packages and more debates than dress codes. Gratuities. Cruise lines call them automatic service charges. Sounds official, sounds mandatory, but here's the truth. They're not. They're optional. And the real kicker? A lot of that money doesn't even go to the crew you think you're supporting. So why are passengers paying hundreds of extra dollars under the impression they're rewarding great service, when in reality, it's fueling a system that might actually benefit the cruise line more than the staff? Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how gratuities really work and why so many experienced cruisers are choosing to remove them. The illusion of automatic. Cruise lines know psychology. If they label a fee automatic, most people will assume it's permanent, like port fees or taxes. And that's the point. They want you to think it's part of the fare. But gratuities aren't fixed. On almost every line, you can go to guest services, sign a form, and have them reduced or removed entirely. The cruise lines don't advertise this, of course, because the entire system relies on compliance. And this matters because a gratuity, by definition, is voluntary. It's supposed to be an act of gratitude, a choice you make when service exceeds expectations. The moment it's forced, pooled, and redistributed without your consent, it stops being a tip. It becomes something else, a backdoor wage system. So let's get this clear up front. Automatic doesn't mean mandatory. It just means most people don't know better. The pooling problem. Let's say you leave the charges in place. Where does the money actually go? Most passengers picture their gratuities going straight to their steward, their waiter, or the bartender who remembered their drink order. That's not how it works. On most lines, gratuities are pooled. That means your daily charge gets thrown into a big pot and then split among a wide range of staff. Everyone from the servers and cabin team you see every day to the dishwashers, galley staff, and laundry crews you never meet. Now, on the surface, that sounds fair. Those behind-the-scenes roles are important too, but pooling kills accountability. The server who busts their tail all week ends up with the same slice as the one who coasts by. The steward who knows your name, remembers your preferences, and keeps your cabin spotless, they don't see a direct reward for that effort. And passengers feel the difference. Longtime cruisers often say service felt sharper back in the envelope days. That was when you handed cash directly to your steward and dining team on the last night. They knew their effort directly affected what landed in that envelope. Today, the tip is guaranteed. The motivation to go above and beyond isn't quite the same. Fleet-wide distribution. If pooling on one ship seems questionable, some lines take it even further. They pool gratuities across their entire fleet. That means the money you paid on a Caribbean sailing might end up supporting staff you never met on a ship you never sailed halfway across the world. You think you're rewarding the waiter who went out of their way to make dinner magical, but the reality is your money may be spread so thin across thousands of employees that your personal recognition gets lost entirely. And the cruise lines? They're not upfront about this. Policies are written in vague phrases like crew appreciation or distributed fleet-wide. Sounds noble, but in plain language, it means your money disappears into a corporate redistribution system. That personal bond, the handshake, the thank you, the recognition is gone. And that's where passengers start to feel duped. Double tipping without realizing it. Here's the kicker. Those daily service charges aren't the only gratuities you're paying. Every drink, every specialty coffee, every spa treatment, every specialty meal, they already have an automatic 18 to 20% service charge tacked on. So let's do the math. You're tipping daily, plus every time you order a cocktail, plus every time you visit the spa or dine in a specialty venue. And those extra charges? They're pooled too. That means the bartender who nailed your margarita might not even keep the extra dollar you scribbled on the receipt. It goes into the bar team's pot. So in reality, you're tipping not once, but 2 or 3 times over without realizing it. And the more you dig, the harder it becomes to shake the question. How much of this money is actually rewarding great service? And how much is just padding a system designed to take more from passengers while relieving the cruise line of responsibility of payroll? Gratuities as payroll subsidy. Now here's where things really start to sting, because once you peel back the cruise line marketing, gratuities stop looking like thank you money and start looking like something else entirely: payroll. Cruise lines often describe gratuities as part of the cruise compensation package, or a combination of wages and incentives. That language isn't an accident. It's a signal. It means gratuities aren't bonuses stacked on top of wages. They're built into the wages themselves. Put bluntly, gratuities are a way for cruise companies to shift labor costs from themselves to you. Instead of paying the crew a full salary, they rely on service charges to make up the difference. If enough passengers pay, the cruise line saves money. If passengers remove the charges, the company has to step in and cover the minimum guaranteed wage. That's the key point. Crew members have contracts with base salaries. They get paid no matter what. If you remove your gratuities, you're not taking money out of their pockets. You're forcing the cruise line to honor its end of the deal. This flips the guilt narrative on its head. The way it's usually presented, removing gratuities makes you the bad guy. But in reality, leaving gratuities in place helps the cruise line keep its payroll lean while letting passengers feel like heroes for supporting the crew. The cultural clash. How you feel about this whole system often depends on where you're from. If you're American, tipping is baked into everyday life. At restaurants, coffee shops, bars, you expect to tip. So when a cruise line adds $16 to $20 per day automatically, it feels normal. Many Americans even see it as a kindness, a way to make sure the crew are looked after. But if you're European, Australian, or from countries like Japan, it feels completely upside down. In those cultures, wages are wages. You pay for a service, and that price already includes fair compensation. Tipping is reserved for exceptional moments. The idea of being told when, how, and how much to tip feels strange at best, insulting at worst. This cultural divide is exactly why the gratuity debate is so fiery. Americans sometimes accuse Europeans of being cheap for removing the charges. Europeans accuse Americans of normalizing a broken wage system. Both sides dig in because they're operating from completely different baselines. Cruise lines lean heavily toward the American model because it keeps advertised fares low. They can market a $699 Caribbean cruise, then quietly add $100 to $200 in gratuities later. Passengers pay, crew get their contracts covered, and the company protects its margins. For Americans, that feels familiar. For Europeans, it feels like a trick. And for everyone else, it just adds confusion. Why more cruisers are removing gratuities. So why are more experienced cruisers making the trip to guest services to remove these charges? 4 main reasons keep coming up. 1. Transparency. Nobody likes paying into a black box. Right now, that's exactly what gratuities are. Are they pooled? Fleet-wide? Used to cover wages? Used as bonuses? Cruise lines never give clear answers. Crew themselves usually can't explain it either. They're contractually restricted from talking about pay. When transparency disappears, trust collapses. 2. Control. Automatic gratuities treat every staff member the same, but passengers know the truth. Not all service is equal. Some crew go the extra mile every single day. Others just skate by. By removing the charge, passengers get to choose who gets rewarded and by how much. 3. Fairness. At the end of the day, wages are the company's responsibility. If a cruise line can afford billion-dollar ships and record profits, it can afford to pay staff directly. Tipping should be a genuine thank you, not a subsidy for corporate payroll. 4. Value. On a 7-night sailing, gratuities add $200 to $300 per cabin. For families of 4 or 5, that number balloons fast. For solo travelers paying double occupancy, it feels downright punishing. Many would rather take the same money, or even a little more, and hand it directly to the humans who actually made their vacation memorable. And here's the twist. People who remove gratuities usually don't tip less. They often tip more. The difference is they know exactly where their money went. The cabin steward who bent over backwards, the waiter who made dinner special, the bartender who never forgot your order. They're the ones who benefit, not some invisible pool. Removing gratuities without guilt. Now here's where things get tricky. The actual act of asking guest services to remove gratuities. Many passengers hesitate because they picture it as being awkward, like they're about to be shamed in front of a line of people. But here's the truth. Guest services handles these requests every single day. It's routine. On most ships, the staff won't even blink. Sometimes they'll ask, "Are you sure?" And that's it. If you want a no-stress script, here's all you need to say. We prefer to tip directly in cash throughout the cruise. That's it. No need for excuses. No need to over-explain. You're not refusing to tip. You're taking control of how you tip. Some passengers report follow-up calls to their cabins asking if they want to reinstate the charge. If that happens, just repeat the same line. You don't need to justify your choice. It's your money. It's your right. The key here is to separate guilt from gratitude. You're not shortchanging the crew. You're simply choosing a different path for how you say thank you. The direct tipping system. So once you've removed the gratuities, how do you make sure you're tipping fairly? Here's a system that works for most passengers. 1. Set a budget up front. Look up the daily rate your cruise line charges, multiplied by nights and passengers. That's your tip pool. Bring that amount in small bills. 2. Build relationships early. On day 1, meet your steward and dining team. Learn names. Thank them. Maybe slip a small bill as a gesture. It sets the tone. 3. Tip in the moment. Don't save it all for the last night. If someone saves the day, fixes a problem, or goes out of their way, reward them immediately. 4. End with envelopes. On the final night, hand out envelopes with cash and a short handwritten thank you. Mention something specific they did. Those notes mean more than you realize. 5. Multiply with words. After the cruise, fill out the survey and list names. Call-outs often lead to recognition or bonuses. With this approach, you spend about the same, or even a little more, but the money goes exactly where you want it. And here's the side effect. Service often feels sharper because crew know their effort translates directly into recognition. Timing makes all the difference. Most people save their tipping for the very last night of the cruise. That's the tradition. Slip a few envelopes before you head home and call it a day. But here's the thing. If you want your gratitude to really land, you've got to spread it out. Day 1 or 2 is the perfect moment to start. Handing your steward a small thank you right away isn't about bribery. It's about recognition. It tells them, "Hey, I see you, I appreciate you, and I'm glad you're here." That single gesture sets the tone for the rest of the week. Then, don't wait until the last day for everything else. Tip in the moment. When a bartender remembers your drink, when a server saves your dinner, when a crew member goes out of their way, acknowledge it right then. A $10 bill handed over with a smile carries more weight than a generic envelope at the end of the cruise. And yes, finish strong. On the last night, do the envelopes. But don't just slide in cash. Pair it with a short note. Mention something specific they did. Those notes get kept. Believe me, it's proof that their work mattered. What about the unseen crew? Now, one of the biggest counter-arguments I hear is about the unseen crew. The people in the laundry room, the galley workers, the teams you never meet. And it's a fair point. They're essential. Without them, the ship doesn't run. So what do you do when you remove the gratuities? Well, you've got two options. Some passengers choose a partial removal. Lower the automatic charges, but don't wipe them out completely. That way, you know the unseen roles are still being supported while you still get to tip directly. The other option is to bridge the gap yourself. Look around. You'll see public area cleaners, buffet attendants, crew managing the embarkation lines. They're not in your cabin, but they're part of the experience. Recognize them with a small thank you when you notice consistent effort. And here's the key. Crew have guaranteed wages in their contracts. Removing gratuities doesn't slash their pay. It just forces the cruise line to step in and cover what they should have been paying anyway. Your direct tips then become extras, not wages disguised as service charges. Advanced recognition strategies. Cash is the most powerful tool, but it isn't the only one. Keep a running list of names. Every time you interact with a crew member who stands out, jot it down on your phone. When the post-cruise survey arrives, add those names in. Those call-outs matter more than most passengers realize. They can lead to recognition or even bonuses. Another trick, handwritten notes. Doesn't need to be fancy. Hotel stationery or a folded scrap of paper is enough. Write their name. Write one line about what they did and thank them. I promise you, many crew members keep those notes tucked away as a reminder of why their work matters. Some cruisers also bring little extras. Snacks, candy from home, or even Amazon gift cards. Not required, but it shows thought. And don't underestimate public shout-outs. Telling a supervisor or mentioning someone by name in front of others can have a big impact. At the end of the day, gratitude isn't about the dollar amount. It's about making it personal. Why direct tipping feels different. Here's the part nobody tells you. Direct tipping changes the vibe on board. With automatic gratuities, everything's flat. The steward who hustles all week and the steward who barely gets by, they both get the same pool share. There's no link between effort and reward. But when you tip directly, that link comes back. Crew know their extra effort connects to recognition. Service sharpens. Smiles feel genuine again. You don't just feel looked after, you feel valued. It's not about buying better service, it's about bringing back accountability and giving your gratitude the weight it deserves. 3 paths forward. So what does this mean for you on your next cruise? You've got 3 ways you can handle gratuities. 1. You leave them as is. If you value simplicity, let the automatic charges ride. Add a little extra cash for the standouts if you want, and you're done. 2. You remove them completely. You set a budget, you bring cash, and you tip directly. That gives you total control, and you know for sure your money lands in the right hands. Or 3. You go hybrid. Reduce the automatic charge so unseen roles are still covered, and still hand out your direct tips to the crew who really made a difference. There isn't a universal right answer. It comes down to your values. But what matters most is that you realize you do have a choice. Here's the truth. Gratuities were never meant to be automatic. They were supposed to be gratitude, a personal thank you for great service. But over time, cruise lines turned them into a system for shifting payroll onto passengers, diluting recognition through pooling, and leaving everyone confused. Now you know the other side. You know that automatic doesn't mean mandatory. You know that pooling takes the personal connection away. And you know that when you remove gratuities, you're not punishing the crew, you're simply making the cruise line do its job, while you reward the people who truly earned it. So the choice is yours. Do you want to trust the system, or do you want to take control of it? Now here's where I want to stir things up, because this is the part cruisers never agree on. Do you think gratuities should even exist? Should passengers really be responsible for subsidizing crew wages? Or should cruise lines pay fair salaries and let tipping go back to being optional? And if you remove your gratuities, do you think that makes you smart or selfish? Be honest. Let's get into it down in the comments, because this is one of those topics where nobody holds back, and that's exactly what makes it worth talking about. And if this video made you think twice, don't miss the next one. It's about the sneakiest onboard charges cruise lines hope you never notice. You'll find it right here. Plus, you can grab your free 50 Cruise Hacks guide in the description. It'll save you money on your very next cruise. Gratitude should never feel like a tax. It should feel like a choice. And once you take control of it, you'll realize something important. Your voyage is just beginning.